Speech-to-text in Adobe Premiere works pretty well, but can it transcribe names like Jan Koenderink?
So Jan Koenderink, for example, from the Netherlands, arguably the brightest vision scientist alive today.
In this case, Adobe Premiere actually transcribed the name completely wrong, as you can see here. So now I want to show you an AI-based method for fixing even these complex transcription errors very quickly with the help of AI and Automation Agent. So here we have our clip in Adobe Premiere, and here is a transcription result. Now we go to Automation Agent, and first in the MCP server settings we make sure that our server is connected and configured for the agent we want to use, OpenAI Codex in this case. In our example, the project only contains a single clip, so there's really nothing the agent can break in our project. But if you are working with a more complex project, you might want to adjust the execution permissions to make sure the agent is only allowed to modify this specific clip and nothing else. So we enable restrict write access, select the clip and add it as an exception. Now only this one clip can be modified by our agent. Then we go to the Automation Agent help, and in the workflow recipes section we find the workflow agent proofread selected transcripts. This page contains a ready-to-use copy and paste prompt. And as you can see here, it works with all currently selected clip project items in the project panel. So we make sure that our interview is selected here, and then we copy the prompt, open our agent, paste the prompt, and run it. Before the agent starts with the actual proofreading, it asks us for context. So if your transcript contains, for example, names of individual people, company names, or other things that are hard to transcribe, you can mention those here. For example, you could say something like, there are some names of people mentioned in the transcript and the correct spelling of these names is this. And then you add the names. And this is not limited to names. Whenever you know from experience that the transcription usually gets certain words wrong, you can mention that here as context to guide the proofreading process. However, in this particular case, we don't even need to provide that context because the interview is about more or less famous people. So we just say, just guess the context from the transcript itself, please, because we expect the AI to know people like Jan Koenderink. Now the agent retrieves the transcript from our project item in Adobe Premiere and then performs the proofreading. After about 6 minutes, the proofreading of this 1-hour interview is complete. The suggestions are grouped into high confidence and uncertain suggestions. And as you can see, among other things, it actually found that Jan Koenderink was spelled wrong. It even gives us an explanation here. Likely vision scientist from the Netherlands, but this uses inferred domain knowledge. So in other words, the AI understood the interview, understood that this is about a well-known vision scientist, and from that inferred the correct spelling of the name. Next, I enter in the chat, please apply all high confidence corrections, also apply Jan Koenderink, and then go over the remaining changes together with me one by one. Now the agent applies all the changes I already confirmed, and then asks me about the remaining ones one by one. Here I just enter apply to approve the next change. And since each round of applying changes takes some time, 45 seconds in this case, for the next one I enter apply, but let's first discuss all other possible changes and then apply them at once. And this is an important point. This is not a fixed review dialog where you can just say yes or no. You can really have a conversation with the agent about the suggested changes. You can ask questions, give additional instructions, approve some changes, reject others, or decide to collect several changes and apply them all at once. So to keep the demo from getting too long, for the next suggestion I just enter, please apply all remaining changes without further review. Now the chatbot applies the remaining changes. And if we search our transcript text for Koenderink now, you can see that it finds Jan Koenderink here in our transcript exactly as expected. So this is how easily you can proofread a transcript with Automation Agent and find even those transcription mistakes that are very hard to spot with a simple spell checker. The important point is that the agent is not just comparing words. It understands the context of the interview, suggests likely corrections, explains its reasoning, and then applies the changes directly inside Adobe Premiere. while still letting you review uncertain cases before everything is changed. That makes this workflow especially useful for names, technical terms, company names, and all the little details where a transcript only becomes reliable when someone actually understands what is being said.